Ahead. Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Taking Healthy Back with Maria, and I am Maria, and I have a very special guest today. Well, as I tell you all, they're all special. I believe there's a significance to every interview I do, and this is Sandy Giacobbe. He is a chiropractor and a longtime friend, and we just reconnected after almost 20 years. And I told him when I got here that my healing journey didn't begin here, but my own awakening to health and wellness and how incredible our bodies are started here when I took my children and my family here for chiropractic care. And Sandy, you don't know this, but you are the first person who ever gave me a platform to speak on. Oh gosh, 25 years ago, I spoke at a library when he was offering a health class to his patients. So your library talk was the first place I ever spoke in public. And from there, here we are.
Oh,
so it's wonderful. And I chose an oil very mindfully today called Clarity, because you have given me a lot of clarity in the past, and currently we had a very wonderful conversation. So thank you and welcome for being my interview.
Good to be here.
Before I ask you the first question, just give a brief little history of your healing mindset and modality and how you help people get well.
Sure. I mean, my journey has had many peaks and valleys. I'll say that, but I'll focus on where I am now. I try to, when I teach people, not only about chiropractic, about the idea of proper integrity of your structure and nerve flow, I try to keep it simple. I think the reasons why most people are getting sick today are toxicity, deficiencies, and infections. So I try to focus on those three things and how we can improve our health by getting rid of toxicities, deficiencies, and getting rid of infections. And it proves pretty successful.
Great. So with that, we segue into how do you view health being connected to success and your own success at that?
Well, as someone that has had at times, suffered with injuries and things that impeded my health, it takes a lot of energy to be unhealthy. And if you want...
Like a battery, like draining a battery.
It drains your battery. I've had knee surgery and knee replacement, sports injuries. And the times when you're in pain, it's debilitating in the fact that it takes a lot of energy and it affects your whole body system. So prevention obviously is the key. And I don't take any medications, so I'm almost 62, but the point is you want to support your system to get that energy through exercise, eating good food, drinking clean water, and I take nutritional supplements, and I take various things periodically, almost like the idea of deworming yourself. I think parasites are a big problem today, and modern medicine doesn't really acknowledge that so much. So there are things you can do to strengthen your immune system and strengthen your health. And it gives you the opportunity to be successful. As they say, health is wealth.
Mm-hmm. And if you can't get out of bed, you can't be successful.
As Woody Allen famously says, most of life is just showing up. If you can't show up, you're out.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's an awesome answer, Sandy. My second question is, what are your 3 to 5 non-negotiables for sustained wellness?
Well, I would have to say, definitely at this point in my life, spiritual is number one. I'm a strong believer in Jesus Christ. I read the Bible, and it also really shapes my worldview. And also from a physical aspect, I love to work out. So I usually exercise at least 5 days a week. And I'm also a big believer in intermittent fasting. I tend to, my metabolism, which is slowed down, if I don't exercise or intermittent fast, I'll put the weight on quick. So, the holidays, a little off course, but we're getting back on course. So spiritual, knowing who the Creator is and my Savior is. Physical, being active. And then also, for me, simply intermittent fasting and low carb. If I eat like I used to eat with bread and pasta, forget it. My blood sugar goes up and I'll put weight on real quick. So those are 3 aspects that I try to affect, and stay with consistently.
What about any prayer mindset?
Well, again, when Maria was mentioning years ago, I used to have a pretty big practice. I built a wellness center, had multiple professionals, and I used to do a lot of what's called energy healing. I had to learn the hard way that I opened some doors that I shouldn't. So my mindset now is biblical. I think as we look around the world and people are looking for answers, the Bible really will present it. And the challenge is today, I personally believe most of the churches are corrupted. Most of the people that call Christian leaders are not. So it's having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ in the confines of knowing what his word is and not getting away from that. And when that happens, it's a humbling experience. Fear of the Lord is the idea that we have an all-powerful Creator, and it really is his way or the highway. And
it's not fear like you're going to be punished fear. It's respect.
Yeah, it's a fear that in the fact that, God says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So it's the idea of you have an all-powerful being. The yoke isn't hard. He just wants you to have faith and believe in him. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's that. There's no rituals you have to do. But the idea of a born-again experience, it is a real supernatural experience. You come to the realization that Jesus Christ is real. He's a real being. And again, the Holy Spirit should be the teacher. No man. If you get on your knees and you honor God's word, the problem is that there's so many of these people that profess they're talking to God, and yet they're leading people on a dark path. It should be one of humility and respect.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that you take supplements, but your supplements don't replace food.
No, but most of the supplements I take, I use a company mostly called Standard Process. They are
it is food
supplements.
Okay.
What's interesting now, we're hearing a lot of keto, something called carnivore. The idea is that most people don't eat what they used to eat 150 years ago. So if you look in some of Standard, many of those processes supplements, you're going to see like bovine adrenal, bovine heart. You know how many people I've helped with heart problems just having them take a supplement that's got heart in it? We used to eat heart.
I see.
So
I get that.
there is a value to that. So with this carnivore and keto movement, you're starting to hear them talk about nose to tail. So people will talk about eating liver or whatever. There is a value to that. In the supplements, it's desiccated, it's small parts. But I've had, my father, he died 2 years ago, but 15 years ago, he was in bad shape, and I put him on a regimen, and he was able to live another 15 years.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Remember?
So there is a value to that. There really is.
Awesome. What about some of these things coming out, ice baths and infrared? Do you do any of those kind of things? Well,
I have an infrared laser. I use it. I think it's very effective. I've seen some amazing things, especially with soft tissue injuries. We're just in the process of putting in a new hot tub with the idea that it has an ozonator in it, and we're going to use food-grade hydrogen peroxide. So the idea is it oxygenates you. So I think that's an important process. That's why you'll hear many people, they use sometimes food-grade hydrogen peroxide orally that can help. There's a substance that's called MMS. It's
what's
controversial.
That?
It's called Miracle Mineral Solutions, but it's basically what's called chlorine dioxide. Again,
You're not
prescribed. Everyone take
look it up,
and I don't sell it to people. I just tell them to do their own research on it. But I've seen it where it has helped people when they've done it on their own. And you keep it really simple. Make sure you have good whole food, and I do think you need some supplementation.
Sure.
Get rid of the toxins. It's hard today. Processed food, forget about it. Water, it can be contaminated. Even the air that we breathe. And then there's deficiencies. I've seen people where they're deficient just in selenium or boron. And you give them trace minerals of selenium and boron, it makes a big difference. Our food supply doesn't have a lot of the minerals in it that it used to have. So you have to be your own best advocate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I tell people. It's a partnership. You come in, I'll tell you what I think is best for you. And, I'm towards the tail end of my career. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything, really. So I try to help people the best I can. And you still see those small little miracles where people have gotten over. I just had one woman that just recently, she didn't have a solid stool movement in like 5 years.
What?
A few adjustments in her diet, and I gave her some bile salts, and made a big difference.
Wow. I love it. We haven't been in contact in almost 20 years, and I used to bring my children here at 2 weeks old to get adjusted, and I learned so much then, and those are really great sound input for people to take a look at in their own life. Okay, and finally, Sandy, I'm on this mission, Taking Healthy Back, because I believe that our health and wellness and possibly a lot of people's future have been stolen from us. And we're living in a very broken world, health-wise, mental-wise. You said you're at the end of your career. As chiropractic, where do you feel that we can improve in our healthcare? If someone listens to this and says, you know what, I don't think I want to wait till I get sick to get better, where do you think is a good place to start? Can people call you or consult with you over the phone if they can't get here in New Jersey in person? How do you think that we can effectively take healthy back? And do you think it's possible even? I know there's a lot of questions in there.
Yes. Well, first it starts with the individual responsibility. I mean, you have to take responsibility for your health. So when I work with the patient, and then we do some online Zoom, or I use something called Blue Jeans, but the concept that you are just going to take some magic pill and solve your health problems is ridiculous. And that's, the pharmaceutical aspect, the allopathic has really been pushed the last 50 years. But I think with what just happened now with COVID, I think that was a bridge too far for them. I know a lot of medical doctors that have had their eyes opened up, because the procedure of first do no harm is going out the window, and also informed consent. The idea that you're going to force somebody to use a medicine or a medication, in this case, a jab, a vaccine, and if you open up the ingredients, they won't even tell you what it is. They still won't tell you. Think about that.
Wow.
Back in the day, when in Nazi Germany, when they forced people to take things against their will, people were executed for that. Now, and it's not like there's no risk factor. I mean, according to their own statistics, the VAERS report shows that exponentially more people are getting harmed with these vaccines than in the previous 36 years. So there is a risk with that. So you have to take responsibility for yourself. And really, what can you do to make your system work better? It's some of the things we've touched on already.
Mm-hmm. Do you think is achievable in the near future? What do we have to do, though, to ignite a person to even want to? That seems to have been my issue for the past 20 years is I hear a lot of people are like, well, I just don't care, as they're polluting their bodies.
Well, I mean, that's a tough one. If someone doesn't care about their own health, you can't make them care for their own health.
Right.
But, usually it's called the pleasure pain principle. Mm-hmm. You get enough pain, you're willing to forego some of those pleasures.
True.
And whether your vice is smoking, drinking, overeating, not exercising, you have to take personal responsibility. It's not easy. I struggle with certain things, no doubt about it. But, I know what it takes to feel better. And when I've had enough of whatever I indulge in, I get back on the wagon, or I get back on the horse, I should say. And that's really where it all starts. You have to want to. And then, because I've seen people make a 180-degree turnaround. People who've lost 100 pounds, people that totally changed their diet. And a lot of what we've been talking from the food pyramid down has been wrong. I mean, now they show you to have 7 servings of carbohydrates a day. It's ridiculous. It really should be, most of our calories, I believe, should be coming from
fruits and vegetables.
Well, I was going to say fat. I think what's happened, we've been felt a bill of goods that, they've been pushing low fat for 40 years.
Well, I know that.
People have been getting fat. So
Right. But I didn't realize that you were going to say fat as opposed to fruits and vegetables.
That's where I think most of your calories, I usually tell people you can have fruits and vegetables, but your calories should be 50 to 70% based on fats. That's what it used to be.
So nuts, avocado, coconut.
Well, I'm a big believer, and I mean, there's periods of my life where I was a vegetarian and did macrobiotics, but I do believe we should be getting a lot of those fats from animal sources.
Wow. Okay, well, that's a talk for another day.
Yeah.
You did say something that made me think of people who are using Fitbits and these external monitors. And I had a discussion with someone the other day. I said, well, how do you feel? And this person said, well, I don't know. And then, looked at the Fitbit and I'm thinking, I go by how my body feels. If I ate a certain thing and I get a headache, I'm going to equate my headache with that food. Or, if something's not balanced or feeling right in my body, I look at what did I just watch? What did I just eat? Who did I just talk to? I know there's something disrupting my body. Do you think people are depending too much on doctors and external devices to tell them how they're even feeling in their own body?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, you look at some of these people that have aged well and they've found what works for them. I mean, one size does not fit all. And I've learned that as I've experienced treating, thousands of patients over the years. And one thing I will say and address things like Fitbits, smartwatches, as I was telling Maria before, I had an exposure to Wi-Fi and EMF frequencies, and I started to get visual problems. As I looked on it, I realized I was soaking up some of the EMFs from the Wi-Fi. I bought a handheld meter, and it was off the chart. So now one of the things I do with patients who bring in some of the smartwatches, the Fitbits, my wife used to wear one. If you actually understand, the EMFs on some of these devices can be much higher than is safe for a human to be around. So
and they're wearing it 24/7.
And they want you like 5G, Wi-Fi, and there is a downside to being around these frequencies continuously.
All right. How can they get in touch with you if they so desire?
Again, I've been in practice as a chiropractor, 35 years. I have a small practice here in Blairstown, New Jersey, Sandy Giacobbe. I mean,
I'll put the details in the description.
Just look up and
just so they contact you here, no email or just call you directly here.
Yeah, call it direct, and if for some people it could be like a Zoom call or something like that if they want to
All right,
do that.
cool. You will love working with him if you so choose. You will get truth, you will get answers, and you will get a very honest and transparent account of how he can help you through various suggestions. There's no magic pill, right? It's not magic. We all got to do the work. And with that, thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
It was fun.
It's really been a great day, and my head's full with all the things that we talked about. Peace until next time, you guys. Keep following.